Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Rise and Grind. I'm 72 the Architect, aka Jason B. And today we're going to talk about getting out of our own ruts. That's right. Do you feel stuck? Do you feel like in a place you can't go? Which direction should I just start over? Or am I not looking at things right? Maybe you're overjudging the situation. Well, we're going to talk exactly about that, how to get out of your own ruts. Stay tuned here in just a moment. We'll be right back. I think that one of the hardest times in our lives is when we really get stuck on something. We feel paralyzed, or we feel, which decision do I really make? A pivot, so to speak. And these things come up really often, more than we think. And sometimes in moments, it's so serious that it's like a mountain or a wall crashing down on you. And other times it's like, whoa, if I walk out on that bridge, maybe I might not get across, or I might not survive. Or it's really just a pain in the butt and just arguing with yourself. Well, that's what this episode's all really about. Getting out of our own ruts. Yeah, it's not easy. It really isn't. But see, are we feeling or just overthinking? I think that's something that really got to take in consideration. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing exactly, not just the feeling, but what we're doing. And it's important to remember that you're not alone, that feeling stuck happens to all of us. And what's in your life, your love life, your business, your friendships, maybe your social agenda, or handling stress. We all experience in different periods of our life feeling stuck. But to what degree? And the key is to recognize that we're feeling stuck and then take action to get yourself out of it. But one way to break out of it is to take a step back and assess the situation. That would seem like it's common sense. But in the heat of the moment, when we're in that stress, it doesn't seem so simple. It seems like if I do that, all the work that I've done, what was it for? I don't want to try. I don't want to fail. Try to identify first the source of your feeling stuck. Where are you feeling it bad? Where's the worst of it that you're not going forward? And then could it mean by talking to a friend, or having a different set of eyes, or maybe just taking a little bit of a break, going outside, doing something, seeking a professional help, someone who's maybe more skilled than you in the particular area, or, like I said, taking a break for the situation. But whatever it is, it's important to take action and not just sit there feeling stuck. With a little bit of effort, you can get yourself unstuck, excuse my language, unscrewed, and back on the path of success. But just remember, there's lots of keys to this. It's not as easy as we all make it out to be by just saying it. It takes a level of action. It takes, like, I can tell you, I've been stuck on certain things personally for a very long time that plagued my personality. And it was always kind of like the imposter syndrome, beckoning at my door. And how do I get out of this? Well, the first part I had to really get clear with was, why am I feeling insecure? Why do I need to promote more than what I have? And after taking careful consideration and really a good look, I was like, wait a second. It took some hard lessons for me to abandon what I was doing. And it was again, it was affecting my mental health. It was taking me in places that I knew I didn't belong, or having conversations that I never should have had. But in the reality, like it said, I said before, take a step back. Like, for example, I have not been creating as much content as I would like. And what was the reason? A good friend of mine asked me the other day, asked me, so if you're not going to be in the avenue of taking advice or giving advice, what are you going to be doing with your content? And that was one question. And the other question before that was with my partner. where's the authentic you? You're talking about somebody else's work. You're reading from books and things like that. When's you're smart enough for the real message to come out of you. So I'd like to identify. But see, that's where I began to paralyze myself and I identified what it was. I was putting too much weight into maybe other people's perceptional values and not really focusing on my own message. What was the message that I really wanted to say? Why did I even get into podcasting to begin with? Well, here's what I've done. I took a step back and I said, all right, I'm not going to be in the avenue of trying to create content on impulse. That was the first remedy. The second remedy was, how do I feel about everyday things? What would I really want to talk about? Yes, I like talking about, problems and then now I transformed that word problems. And I said to a friend just even the other day, I was saying to them, I was like, you know what? If you transform that word problem into, obstacles, would it change the value and how you perceive it? And there was the gold. I said it without even thinking it. All this reading and all this training of all the stoicism and all philosophies and things. And it all culminated into one moment where I gave not only a friend a great prescription, but myself. So then that's the next big part of looking at where you're stuck, where you're in a rut. Maybe you were just too eager and too aggressive to where you feel like you can't go back because you feel like you may look like a fool. Well, it's better for you to reel back than to continue and spin your wheels in the mud, so to speak. That's right. Many of us do spin wheels. We spin wheels in our love life. We spin wheels in our business, in our positions, in our roles of society. And the one thing that I will not do is I will not blame the devices of this world. I know that I am a special being. I was put on this earth for a selected period of time, and I don't know that, how long it's going to last. But I have to constantly remind myself to not get too far ahead, to appreciate the little anecdotes that come in our lives, like profits or patience over profits. Well, who could deny that? What is my profit? When I can go to sleep at night and I feel justified. How many of us really go to bed feeling, wow, what a wonderful day. I succeeded. I did something. I think we go to sleep a lot of times without feeling anything. We're just like, I'm tired. I need to get to bed. I've got work in the morning. It's like an automatic autopilot, and we can't keep up the pace. And many of us in this world are feeling exhausted, overworked, and we have too many agendas on our plate. And many of my colleagues and friends and even my loved ones, I was like, I'm no longer worried about the rules of life. If I keep wondering about the rules of life, that was the next, you know, thing about all of this, getting out of your own rut, is stop worrying always about so many rules and the consequences. Too many rules makes us depressed. We feel pigeonholed. We feel boxed in. Even Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher and Caesar and king of Rome, even had these problems. He had all these things to manage. And when I was reading even the Daily Stoic, he was talking about, you know, getting unstuck, getting out of your own prison. You make this your own straitjacket. He even said, or no, excuse me, it wasn't Marcus Aurelius, but no, Seneca said this. He said in his moral letters, he says, the disease of the rational soul are long-standing and hardened vices, such as greed and ambition. They have put the soul in a straitjacket and have begun to permeate evils inside it. To put it briefly, the sickness is unrelenting distortion of judgments. So things are only mildly desirable and vigorously sought after. So what does he mean by that? He means that we create our own devices. You created your so without judging yourself. That's the next part about all this. The beginning ways is that you're gonna have to, like, suck it up a little bit. You're just gonna be like, "Look, if I have to start back from square one, then that's what I gotta do." You gotta think of some of the greatest inventors in the world, they had to do this. And the ones that felt no shame and said, "Screw it, whatever it takes, I'm gonna keep doing this." And the idea is, I hate to use this example, but I think it's really relevant. But you look at Thomas Edison and the light bulb, he's referred to so much, but even though I didn't like the guy, how he practiced business and how he treated people, I did admire the tyrant's method. He found, was it 1,001 different filaments that didn't work compared to the one, so 1,001 tries. And I think where we're at in society is that we don't want to keep trying and trying and trying and trying, but yet we don't realize by trying formulates and codifies us. It makes us stronger, calloused a little bit. Like, look, I'm determined to make. I know this thing is going to work, but taking breaks, taking walks. So here's some daily things that I can tell you that are really helping me get unstuck and get back to the creative parts about me. Number one, I remember in the morning not to take myself too seriously. That from the hours of 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. a lot of times, 4 a.m. to 7 a.m., that is my time to be whatever I want before I need to serve other people, which I do like to do. Before I do all that, I get to do whatever I want. I get to read books, which I enjoy. I get to go exercise. I get to feel invigorated. I get to hear even outside my window, the birds are chirping, even though it's like what, 6:35 in the morning. It's still dark outside here in Stockton, California. It's still dark outside, but I hear the birds chirping. I don't take those things for granted because there are times in life where even just the simple sounds of a bird chirping, walking outside, taking yourself out of the stress, out of the materials that you're buried with. It feels like a straitjacket. Where do I go? What do I do? And it was all a choice in your mind. So take action by let go for a little while. Let go. Doesn't matter. Let go for a little while and realize that there is an outside world beyond your desk, beyond your constraints. Just go let it go. And that will begin. And it's not going to seem like it's going to make a difference, but this habit of constantly just like, hey, you know what? Give myself a breather. That's right, a breather. And I love a famous YouTuber that I really admire. I think it's Ralph White. And I love his saying, he's like, okay, deep divers, breathe. And he's just like, it's not real easy. You're gonna figure out your problems, and sometimes you're gonna and the hard part for many of us is when we have to go to someone else and ask for help. And just remember, help is assistance. That doesn't mean they get to take over things. It's still your idea, it's still your principles, it's still all the things that make you who you are. It's your goal. And it doesn't really matter if someone's done it before. It's your persistence. So getting out of your ruts means you're gonna have to be willing to abandon things for a little bit. Put on the shelf, like, hey, walk away. Other times you're gonna have to just like, okay, let me just take a quick step away and push harder. Keep trying. Whatever methods you find, if you find yourself overly frustrated and mad, depressed, that tells you let go, go work on something else. And I felt that way for the last, I don't know, I'd have to say since the beginning of January in my content. I mean, I've made YouTubes and wisdoms, I've made talks and I told my colleagues and friends that I really didn't want to make material until I had certain personal issues resolved. And one friend of mine and colleague last night talked to me and they said, "You know what, Jason? I think that's the best decision you could have made." And I agreed. I agreed one wholeheartedly. I was like, because I know and I recognize this great voice, this great mind inside me. No matter what I've done, no matter what I'm going to do, I recognize the beauty in me about me speaking, about me presenting myself even on YouTube. To everyone has a recommendation of how you should behave or how you should handle things. And I'm not innocent of prescribing that. But the one thing that I'll tell you of getting unstuck is not taking it too literal. Just like I said in the beginning. So get out, do walks, do other things. Have a hobby that does not require a lot of thinking or mechanics sometimes. I used to like putting puzzles together, but then I would get frustrated putting puzzles together because I couldn't find the right pieces to match. But in reality, sometimes even coloring with my 5-year-old, working on her ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, just watching and admiring the organics and the innocence of life gave me enough breaks so that I could go back, permit to my studies, permit myself to achieve, but not to abandon it. Sometimes you got to quit things and sometimes you got to abandon it because it really wasn't meant for you, and that's quite all right. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you really desire, and I love to refer to this, I learned it a long time ago, but I haven't been practicing it. The universe will conspire to put things together for you. But be sure to ask for specifics. That's the key. People talk about manifesting, and that's great. A manifest to me is a list. According to Maritime, a ship's manifest, what it carries, the cargo. We're going to go from point A to point B, and we're going to succeed. We carry these things until we're successful. So when I hear people talk about manifesting, sometimes it makes me cringe, like, do they really understand what it means? But who am I to educate them? Do I need to educate them? Do I need to change their minds? And that's where me abandoning so many of the rules, the unsubstantiated rules, and just work on my role, work on your person, go exercise. Believe it or not, my best ideas are out on my walks when I'm in the gym. I feel a strong reward when sometimes I talk to myself out loud out on a walk alone. And I say it and there's like I was telling you about that friend, and when I was telling about I need that break. By me saying it, don't look at problems, look at obstacles. Because here I didn't finish the quote about that. My quote about that was problems seem to be parallel or just perils. They do. But obstacles is something that I know that I'm going to achieve over it. Problems seem to weigh us down. Obstacles don't. Obstacles means it's just temporary. And we got to remind ourselves that's really the last part about all this is how you look at your issues. Are you going to make it a problem? Or are you going to make it an obstacle? And as long as you treat it as an obstacle, there's success somewhere. Either you find someone who's done it, or it just took 2,000 tries or attempts. You got better and better. You trained on it. You made it happen. You let yourself live a little bit freer. And that's why not just the Stoics, but many philosophers, thought leaders, they say other people's opinions don't matter in the long run. That's why they say it. There's no better way than doing it. I mean, am I telling you anything new? I don't think I am. I really don't think that I'm giving you advice, but sometimes it's so obvious. It's staring right in our face. And we're like, it was right there in front of you, stupid. It really was. And when you have fun with it and it's like, okay, I get to go explore. I get to retry something. I'm doing something I've never done before. I'm fine with that. So that's what it's all about. Getting unstuck means letting go. Don't worry about being just right. Just worry about concern yourself about the success. That's the important factor. Concern yourself about success of it. Looking at life as you have obstacles to overcome. And I really got to appreciate Ryan Holiday's book, The Obstacle is the Way, because there were a lot of principles that he talked about in that book, and great leaders. How some people make it look so easy. And that's another thing about philosophy. Now that I've practiced it so much to where I'm beginning where I just can't get it wrong. At least the way that I perform it. Now I can't get it wrong the way that I believe it. And unnecessary stresses, ruts, things like that, where you just, you're not getting what you want, which is probably the last bonus part is maybe it's just you. Maybe you're making the problems bigger than what they need to be. And that's why I say taking a break, taking a step back, looking at yourself realistically and not overbearingly, it's just something to consider. I have Graciela Moore wanting to come up. Come on down. It's not The Price is Right, but good morning to my friend in Florida. Graciela, good morning to you. How are you?
It's me.
Good morning.
Hi. I'm the problem, it's me. At time, everybody agrees. I stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero. Hi.
How are you, my friend?
I love your talk so far. Yes. I'm good. Thank you. And your talk has helped me get going this morning. So I'm very grateful that you're here, Jason.
I appreciate it. So, have you
Yes,
felt
and I agree
stuck?
100%.
Have you felt stuck in a rut lately?
Um, it really just comes and goes for me. Around November is the worst time.
Why is that?
But because of the changes outside, it kind of happens really fast, and I tend to kind of like nap through it, right? And
Okay.
when you just sleep through things, then a lot of other things get halted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of other things don't get going. So yeah, but this week was the solstice, and so I'm actually happy that today I get a rain check on the show that I would have to do at 2 p.m. and we're gonna do it tomorrow instead on Fireside.
Okay.
The search for the Holy Grail, for your Holy Grail.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's been fun. So today, Thursdays, I get to see my coach, and so I'm very excited about that. And the stuck thing is, yeah, it just really depends on what's happening environmentally, I guess, for me. We're about to go into a moon into Taurus, so resting is part of that, those 2 days. I love it when a moon in Taurus falls on the weekend, because it's like, yay, the weekend is supposed to be not just fun, but for you to rest and recharge, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I loved what you were saying about the birds, because that's actually one of the first things that I missed about moving to the States and having a window shut, like the way that we do here, because there's central air. In Puerto Rico, nobody has central AC. Like, that's not the way houses are built.
Right.
And so you have a window with, you have like Miami shutters with a screen, and, during a hurricane, you cover it and that's it. And you might want a window unit, but I never had those. And so the birds were just constant nonstop because my windows were open.
Mm-hmm.
And I also grew up with a lot of pets and animals. So yeah, Thank you for all of that. Oh, I guess my time is up.
You're good.
Yes?
You're good.
Okay. So yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. I am
Absolutely.
thankful for you. And yeah, keep on talking about getting out of our ruts.
Mhm. Thank you so much for coming on up. And that's Graciela Moore. She's also a content creator on Wisdom. She makes content on YouTube. Um, and I don't have her social medias handy, but if you want to reach out to me, I can definitely share that. If you're on the Wisdom app, you can find her, and she makes content weekly, I believe. Not daily, but she also makes content on Fireside. And that's the thing. That's an amazing. I have amazing people around me, and lately, as I'm wrapping this show up, if anyone else wants to come up real quickly and share your thoughts about getting out of your own rut or getting unstuck, feel free to come up now. If not, I'm going to be ending within the next few minutes. So, what I can tell you, I have been stuck on certain things of my own personal life for so very long. And making my own independent decisions was scary because I looked, am I doing the right thing? And when I would screw up, I would hear it twice as much. It would kind of be like my mom talking to me, like always, just judging me and gaslighting me about, how horrible it was. But see, one thing dawned on me. People carry on weight unnecessarily and onto their others and onto their children and onto their coworkers and places like that where they are stuck, where they don't progress in their soul. People get that way. And you have to remember to let them come in and let them blow out just like a breeze. And if you feel overwhelmed by the situation too much, just like I told another colleague of mine, I said, imagine the conversation of like playing catch, like with a baseball or a frisbee, maybe a football. Just catch and release. And when you don't want to play no more, say, okay, I need to take a break till the next time. Just that catch and release theory of mine that I came up with yesterday creates an atmosphere where if I don't want to continue catching it and I want to continue throwing it, I can stop where I'm at. And that's where I've gotten to. I'm just not down for criticizing myself and feeling like I can't achieve my goals. My goals, I don't tell people my goals too often. I really don't want to anymore. And the reason why I didn't want to was because I got tired of the criticism. Even just the other day, I was criticized by the way I said something. And I understand myself. I understand, I don't always have that empathy shield. I don't think like others do. Like, even my partner was saying, "Hey, put on your poker face." And for someone who has to deal with like Asperger's, and it's like having ADD or whatever, autism, it's like you're asking me to put on a shroud when I don't think always that way. And to be really honest, and you hear those criticizing, it kind of, it's like you don't want to say anything, or you just like, hey, I'll just say something to get past. But then that thing turns into something you can't represent or a lie or whatever. And for me, that was one of my struggles growing up, even still to age 50 to this day. But getting out of that rut meant I had to go through these deep, dark trenches. It was muddy, smelly, dealing with my own stuff. It wasn't easy. It's still not easy, but it's getting better. Because one thing I will say is I know understand by accepting and releasing that catch and release. Here you go. Until it comes back to me and I'm ready to play again. Okay. I know some things you have obligations and duties to, but the whole point of this talk was getting getting out of your own ruts means letting go of the perspective of have tos to I get tos. And sometimes if it didn't work out, it wasn't meant for you. That's probably the hardest part, especially when we want really something to exist and really work for us. I think that's really the difficult part. And it's our own egos that argue against us. It's the rules that we've developed all our lives. I mean, we've got so many damn teachers and so many different methods. People are sometimes afraid to be themselves. So, me, I'm just really not afraid to be myself. I'm here to do a great job. I'm here to make great content, and I'm going to continue to make great content. So I'm getting my juices back into me. I'm getting my flow back into me. And I'm finding out what kind of content I'm going to be making. And for right now, I'm just being a great human. That's all I need to focus on. And things will figure themselves out. And that does mean me doing some work, but trying to figure it all out at once and one thing, it's too stressful. I'll figure it out just fine. Anyhow, that's all the time that I have for Rise and Grind in the Morning. I'm 72 the Architect and look forward to talking to you this Saturday. I believe I'll be on air. So I hope to see you guys all back again. Usually at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. What is it? 10 a.m. Eastern. I don't even know what GMT time it will be, but hope you all have a great day. Hopefully this motivated you. Hopefully this let me know in comments. You can follow me on YouTube. Just look for me, 72 the Architect. That's my handle. It's the easiest way to find me, or Rise and Grind. And this show is called Getting Out of Our Own Ruts. Y'all take care. Have a great day.